nothing. I was not comfortable. I was scared of shit. I was like, this is the dumbest decision I've ever made in my entire life. But at the time, though, I was so excited about the gym, and I was so fed up with my 22-year career that I was like, I have to do it. Like, if I don't, like, I'm gonna go nuts here. And so I just said, fuck it. Yeah. So we just did it.
Everybody tune in to this next episode of Into the Lion's Den. We are going to be talking about how comfort kills. So we have a special guest, Zack Whitmer, co-owner of Pursuit Performance and Training in Windsor, Colorado. It's an amazing conversation. We talk about motivation culture, and how we need to include discipline into our lives, building good habits, and understanding how to light a fire with your passion and grow in something every single day. It's a great conversation. Tune in.
Welcome to the hunting ground, where business gets real. This is Into the Lion's Den, where we build smarter, lead harder, and protect what matters most. With your host, Christian Griffin. Let's get to work.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Into the Lion's Den. This is going to be a banger. We have a very special guest for you today, Mr. Zack Whitmer. I'm saying that right?
Yeah, Whitmer.
Whitmer, co-owner of Pursuit Fitness out of Windsor, Colorado. It is the gym I attend, and I encourage every one of you listeners to be there. It is a different place altogether, and if you ever walked in, you'd know why I'd say that. We're going to be talking about business growth. We're going to be talking about our personal life stories. We're going to be talking about our love for fitness, how comfort kills. We're going to talk a lot of things. So you should stay tuned as long as your ADHD brain can stay in touch. And this episode, as always, is brought to you by Level Creative Studios and Pride Roofing and Construction. So he always puts in a little soundbite. I always try to make people say the cat noise. The best ones, we're trying to snip them all so you can plug them into the videos and stuff. But all right, so Zack, welcome.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come over here. And well, like I said, I am a huge fan of your gym.
Thanks, dude.
So I'm very excited to learn more about you and more about how you built it and what got you there and your story.
Yeah.
Learning about the business of fitness from a different perspective than I have would be this really. There's a lot about this that's very selfish, wanting you to be here.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm here for it, dude.
So hopefully the listeners like it. But Zack, I'll let you take it away. Tell the listeners just about you. Let's start with you as a person.
As a person, born and raised in Los Angeles, so the wild, wild west. Lived there for 32 years. No. I moved here when I was 29 to Colorado. Because I remember I had my 30th birthday here, which was like a life-changing event. Like leaving your 20s, you're like, what is happening in my life? So born and raised in Los Angeles. I grew up in a broken household. So I had to fight, my way out of a lot of things. I think every person I've met that is usually pretty successful had the same story. Mm-hmm. Like you had to go through some shit to get out the other side.
There might be a little bit of a different tune, but it's definitely got similar lyrics.
Yeah, for sure. And then early on, I played football my entire life from 9 years old all the way to my high school varsity year. And then during that time through high school, I was playing heavy music my entire life in Hollywood, throughout Los Angeles. And then I was in a couple of signed bands. So music was a huge part of my life. Also a huge reason why I got fat as hell. When you're just touring, playing shows nonstop and just eating fast food because, you're getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
So fast food's the only way to go. I got severely out of shape after football. And so I moved to Colorado and that's where I finally found fitness. My neighbor at the time was a CrossFit instructor, and that's when CrossFit was like on the ground floor, as we talked about. And so I started there. And then that led into me finding my current business partner, Samson, who became my nutrition coach. He had a background in like collegiate athletics and strength and conditioning and nutrition. And so Samson literally held my hand to lead me to lose 130 pounds and taught me about training, taught me about nutrition. He built a online nutrition company. So at the time it was called Chasing Muscle.
Okay.
And so since he led me through the process, he asked me to come on with him as I was working like a 50-hour-a-week job selling sprinklers. Like that's what I did for a majority of my life.
Yeah.
But he asked me to come on to help him with his clients. And so I think like when I first started with him, I was like, in 1 year, I'm going to have 10 clients. And in like 6 months, I had 40.
Mm-hmm.
And so things escalated.
So you're a
much
good salesman.
Yeah. I definitely learned sales from my sprinkler job. That was one thing that I got my sales background in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had great success with online coaching people all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met someone that locally that owned their own like really cool like at-home training facility.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still a dear friend of ours, but I was just getting into coaching like in person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I met Rachel, she asked me to cover some classes at her gym. And the first thing she asked me was, why don't you own your own gym? And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, why is she asking me that? You know, I was so confused.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just trying to be a coach right now. She's like, you need to own your own gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why is this lady saying? And at the time, like, she was successful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, this is great that she's bringing this up to me. And so I called Samson immediately, and I was like, hey, man, you ever thought about like opening your own gym?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, it's been my dream since high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's open our own gym.
Let's do it then.
And so oddly enough, like at the time where we were getting paid through like PayPal for the nutrition stuff online, and neither one of us ever spent our money.
Yeah.
So we just pulled together our money and got a cool little setup at a facility in Windsor. And like, this was when Rep Fitness was like working out of a storage locker in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went down to Rep, and I think we had like 10 grand. And I'm like, can we get a squat rack? And they're like, oh yeah, you can get some stuff. And so we opened, you know, our little 4,000 square foot gym with like maybe a set of dumbbells, 2 squat racks, and a machine.
Yeah. Well, good coaches can figure out a way through that.
Oh, for sure. But I was not that at that time. Like I was still like on the ground floor figuring it out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so we built Pursuit, started off with, like I said, I think maybe 4,000 square feet. And then 7 years in, we're at 35,000 square feet.
7 years. And what's that growth factor? That's like 9x.
Yeah,
something
at
like
least.
that. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, if we were to like look at a chart of our growth, it's been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, like we've been very blessed. You know, at the time we were just always waiting for the dip, and it just never hit.
Yeah.
And I think honestly that's what gave us the confidence to open a facility like this, because it was like we're clearly doing something that the people want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, fuck it, let's just take a chance, you know, and just try to hit a home run and just build this mega facility, which if you would have asked me, you know, 5 years ago if Windsor was ready for that or Northern Colorado, I'd been like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like the cards just aligned, you know? Yeah. And so it was just time. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I think Northern Colorado can support this and be behind it. And so
well, you guys are, I mean, it's full in there. Like not all the time, but I mean, like you guys have steady volume. There's always training. There's always something going on. Yeah. It's kind of off the beaten path. Like I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah.
I moved 2 weeks or two blocks away. And it took a month before I even realized it existed. So what is it that you guys do? That is it word of mouth? Is it?
Yeah, well, you know, like we're so fortunate. Like Samson's background is in like it's like online marketing, like media. Like so his wife's side of the family owns Madwire locally. Mm-hmm. So he worked for Madwire for a long time, you know, helped building that thing up, and just learned a whole background of social media marketing and stuff. So he runs all of the back end marketing leads for the gym.
Okay.
And so obviously that's a big part of it, but yeah, it is a lot of just word of mouth. We just kind of figured out like the only way, like the reason that so many of these gyms fail is because when you have a facility, I don't care what size it is, even my 2 cycle bar locations that are only 2,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. If you're not maximizing those things every hour on the hour, you're not going to make it.
Oh yeah.
So we figured that out. And so it's like, cool, like what could we bring into the gym? We don't want to bring so much in that it didn't make sense, but it's like, what is in the vein of what we're doing that makes sense to be here, that just has the gym humming all the time?
Sure. So
it's like, great, registered dietitians, you know, hormone testing, open gym, classes, recovery center, sports performance training. Like, it's like, it's all
10 income streams simultaneously.
Exactly.
Pump it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the other magic behind it is just not settling and hiring the best fucking coaches. Like you cannot bring in, but no offense, like the weekend warriors that got their NASM.
Yeah.
Like you need to go get the Joe McKays of the world that you take from CSU, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's wild. So how do you find these guys?
So, you know, like early, you know, it was a lot of, you know, we obviously went through the coaches that were just like, I just got my online cert. And I'm like, cool, we need you. And then it falls apart quick.
Yeah.
You know, so just I think trial and error, just like I think any business goes through, you know, you're just like hoping something great comes out of somebody, especially if you have a big heart, I do, you know, and I always want to give someone a chance. But then just kind of realizing like when you want to be at that level, like you just can't fuck around and you just need the best people.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have one coach at the gym that kind of like changed our whole perspective on everything. Her name's Stina. And when Stina just like walked in the door, you know, and I'm like, dude, we have a coach at that level that just walked into the door that wants to be a part of this thing. Like, we need to rethink like who we're bringing in here. It needs to be at her level or above moving forward. You know,
there's a lot of statistics and just like people talking about that constantly about high producers versus in the same environment as low producers.
Correct.
Even in a coaching sense,
Right.
it's like they're usually talking about salespeople, but
yeah,
it's like there's an instantaneous like transfer.
1,000%.
You got high performers next to a low performer. Generally tends to. Right, we're going to equalize to the low end.
That's exactly what we run the business model off of. Like Samson's harped on that forever, you know. Like, and the problem is, like, if you have that, you know, and like you're just going to settle for that. But the problem is that the top performer is always going to hate that person that's the bottom performer, and vice versa.
Oh yeah.
So you're always going to have.
One's going to be envy.
Exactly.
The other one's going to be like, why are we?
Why are they
paid
here?
The same, or why are they here, or whatever. Yeah.
Correct. So it's always going to have a riff, right? So we just got to the point where I'm like, okay, moving forward, we just need the top. Like, I can't deal with having like anything underneath that. But the benefit of having that, and I'm sure you know that, it's like then you get a little freedom because the facility isn't operating itself the way it's supposed to, because all those people won't settle for anything less. So I can leave for my Mexico trip last week with zero anxiety.
Yeah.
I just know that my team is just crushing it.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a huge benefit in multiple different ways.
Well, congratulations for being right there. I tell the guys all the time, like, I talk about the fishing trip constantly.
Yeah.
It's an analogy more than it's an actual
Correct.
vacation. And most of them don't even understand what I'm saying until I piece it together.
Right,
for them.
right.
Like, if I can't just on a whim leave to a distant location somewhere where I cannot be touched,
Right.
cannot be contacted, cannot be of assistance in any way, and I come back and it's performing better
Right.
when I get back, I am not running a business. The business is running me.
Right. Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah. Right. So I tell you, it took us a long time to get there, but you know, it feels like we're definitely the closest we've ever been to that. Sure. So we're super fortunate.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Well, so let's talk about the transformation part of things. So obviously you gained weight because you're following a passion.
Correct.
Right. So you're playing music, which
also, let's back up. It's 2001.
Yeah.
No one's talking about nutrition and protein the way we talk about it now.
Not. Yeah. It's all the buzz.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, but during that time period, it's like you were weird if you were jacked.
Totally. Dude, I'll never forget the first time I actually like lifted weights for real. It was the summer of 9th grade, going into 9th grade. And I walked in the weight room, love him to death. I hope he was not listening to this, but Coach Noop, that guy changed my life. He was my football coach. And I walked in and just written on the whiteboard, it just said deadlift. And I was like, oh, what is this? And he's like, you can just pick the bar up. I was like, just pick it up. And he's like, just fucking pick it up. I'm like, all right. Dude, I can't even imagine what my form looked like. But like, that was the world we lived in. It's just meathead, no science, just get after it. And so that's like, that era was everything. So it's like, your meals before games and stuff was like, just go McDonald's, carb load, not knowing French fries is not carb loading, it's fat loading.
Yeah, right.
Trans fat loading. And you're just pounding everything you can, and then like when you graduate from that, no one's going like, hey man, like you're not moving as much, like, so you can't eat like that anymore. Like you're not training football like you used to.
Right.
So I just got fat as shit.
Yeah.
It's just part of the deal.
That's wild. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like the two things that I cared about the most growing up was wrestling and exercise.
Right.
And both of those things made me weird as shit.
Right. You're the weirdo for sure.
But now wrestling's mainstream, right?
1,000%.
Like everybody wants their kid in wrestling.
Correct.
Because everybody now knows what it taught everybody that was a wrestler that was weird at that time.
Yeah. Dude, unfortunately, I probably would have for sure been wrestling in high school, but in Los Angeles, that's not a thing.
Yeah. California is not like traditionally like
not
wrestling
known for that.
state.
Yeah, they're very.
You have to move to the belt.
Yes, or being a private school. Like even that same thing with lacrosse and field hockey and all that stuff, But it was just very much like the public school was just very much like football, baseball, basketball, soccer. It's like cool, that's what we do. And so I played football year round. That was my life.
Yeah, I kind of made that error. I was a 4-sport athlete, so I only spent a quarter of my time on any individual thing. So I never got very good at any of
that. Yeah.
Until I specialized college, and I was already behind the ball about that by that point. But either way, what you know now, I guess.
Yeah,
it's always 2020. But.
Yeah. So me just getting out of high school and just not ever being talked to about nutrition and like how I should be living. Like, so I gained a lot. I think my senior year, I was playing, which I was a small ass left tackle. I was playing at like 220, but I was good because I had technique. But you know, I got up to like 340.
Holy wow!
Yeah, I was a big boy.
You said you lost 130 pounds.
130 pounds
in 1 year.
In 18 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it took me 18 months, and that was like, dude, I'm talking like dialed in.
Yeah.
Like, didn't miss a macro.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like. That was pre-kids, pre-marriage, pre-business. So I had a lot of time on my hands, you know. So like Samson had me, you know, I was probably waking up and walking / running an hour every single day.
Yeah.
And then I was afterward training 5-6 days a week, just kettlebell training.
So you were doing 75 hard.
Oh,
it was cool.
I was going hard.
Okay, so Andy Frisella
fucked
you over.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you owe me money, motherfucker.
I need my whatever.
Yeah, I need my distributions on that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it took, but you know, and it's like the crazy thing too is like he taught me so much. Like Samson, like with, you know, when I got down to where I was like healthy, you know, I was killing myself to get there. It wasn't sustainable by any means, especially when you start having kids in a business. And I wasn't happy. Like I was just so dead set on like getting there because I was so out of shape.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I got there, it's just like I couldn't sustain that tight, like, you know, train like 15 hours a week, you know, and I was younger too.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I'm coming up on 43. It's like my body would be done for. So, but yeah, so it's like, you know, I finally figured out a lifestyle after that as I got older that made sense for me to have a little, you know, flexibility with my family and kids, but also, you know, still training at a super high level, you know.
Sure. Well, yeah, maintenance mode. I've been in like constant maintenance mode for about a decade now.
I'm here.
Think.
Yeah, I've been happy. I've had some fluctuations here and there, but you know, for the most part, I've always felt like, you know, I can do some endurance training, but also deadlift 500 pounds with no problem.
Well, I think that kind of needs to be the premise of the majority of the conversation we talk about, which is that like temporary gain or the temporary pain part of things.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you guys' motto, comfort kills.
Yeah.
Was that the motto or is that just like the thing you live by?
Yeah, it's kind of what the gym lives by.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I respect and I understand and I appreciate because that's really where I'd say that our entire world is that's the bane of the world's existence.
100%.
Especially in the point and click society that we have right now, which like, you know, I laugh at Hannah when she does this. Like, I'm like, it's taking you 45 minutes to set this like online order up for groceries.
Yeah.
I know that they show up in an hour.
Right.
And somebody else does it for you, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you spend the same amount of time.
Yeah, I could be there and get it done myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, like you could press a button and anything can show up at your door. You basically have to have no connection to anybody whatsoever. And so you can maintain this constant level of piece of shitness. I don't know the right way to say it, but it's like your whole body is working against you all the time. Like it's mostly not your whole body, but your brain. Your brain's always trying to survive. His job is to protect you. Like, let's think about this. Don't touch that. It's too hot, you know, or whatever. And that's what exercise makes most people do. They're like, I'm in pain. Therefore, I'm doing something wrong, so I should stop doing this. But how did you get yourself to adjust to that, where you're like, this pain is what's going to grow me?
So there's a story behind it. Yeah. I think most people that have had like a drastic transformation, like 100 pounds plus, like there was always like an event that happened that you're like, I need to change or I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So my event was, I did have an event.
Okay.
So the company that I worked for 22 years, it was kind of cool. They were based out of Arizona, but they would pay for, there's like, I think they're still around, the rock and roll marathons.
Okay.
And so they would like, I think we had like probably almost nationwide, like it was the largest family owned irrigation company on the planet. And so I think they had at least 1,000 employees, but they were just like, they put the offer out every January. Hey, you want to come do the rock and roll marathon? We'll fly you here for free. So you get a cool little vacation, you know, for the weekend, and we'll pay for the marathon. And we're going to do it like as a big ass team. It was like a big wellness project. Sure. So I wouldn't have done that if I didn't work with my best friend and my brother. So those two were like, let's go to Arizona. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. So I thought I'd be a smart ass. And so I'm like 330, 40 pounds at that point. And we're like, yeah, let's go to Arizona and do it. And I had trained 0 days. And I was like,
0 days.
Worst case scenario, I'll just walk it.
Yeah.
Well, walking 13.1 miles is still difficult.
Sure is.
And so I want to say that the Rock and Roll Marathon that year was like some dumb, like 50,000 people. I finished last.
Dead last.
Dead last.
Holy wow.
Yeah. Like my brother, I hope he's watching this.
Yeah.
He fucking ditched me. Bro, at mile 11, I'll never forget it. Vans are driving by when you're like that far back and like clearly hurting.
Yeah.
And they're like, need a ride? Finish line?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and at that point, I was just so stubborn. I'm like, hell no, I'm finishing. Like, even though I was so out of shape, I was like, I'm finishing this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And my brother's like, yep. And just leaves me. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, this is insane. Like, I have to finish this thing by myself now.
Sure.
So, dude, I'm just limping. Like, I'm just so beat down. And I'll never forget. It was one event that happened near the end that like changed everything. But I was like probably a mile out and I heard a noise behind me and I turned around and it was the city cleaning up the cones.
Oh, God. Okay.
And I was like, you were a baller in football through high school. I was a murderer in high school. Like I was a good football player.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and your fat ass like is last.
Yeah.
And dude, like I took that hard.
Yeah.
And so
it's more than a slap.
Oh, bro, it was rough.
Yeah.
It's still, I get kind of emotional thinking about it because I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
But
it snapped something.
Oh, it snapped me for sure. So I limped through the finish line, had to get an IV bag, all the shit. Like I was done for. My feet blistered, bleeding, the whole toenails falling off.
Well, you got some Goggins in you, it sounds like.
I got through for sure. I wouldn't go that far, but I got through it. So I literally vowed to myself, I was like, when I do this thing next year, like I'm gonna kill this time. I did it something stupid. Like it was like 4 hours and 50 minutes. Like what people were running the full marathon in.
Yeah.
Like it took me that long for a half.
Sure.
And so I was like, I need to change something. So it wasn't drastic, but I finally started like, it has to be the food.
Yeah.
So by myself, start trying to figure it out. And all I'm seeing online is like steamed chicken and broccoli. So I'm like, that's what I got to do. This is like back in like the bodybuilding.com days.
Sure.
And so, I'm going like 24-hour fitness, no idea, like watching other dudes. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do, like, I'm going to do the shoulder press thing. Like it was a disaster. Taking pre-workout like 4 times a day because I think that's what I need to do, like get me through the day. And so I lose probably 40 pounds by myself, and so the next year I train for it a little bit better. I walk it in like 3 something, I'm like, okay, that was improving. And I didn't feel like I was dying at the end.
Progress.
Like, okay, cool. We're getting closer, and then the next year I probably lost another 20 maybe by myself, started falling off the train a little bit, just inconsistent, ran it 20 minutes faster. I'm like, okay, getting better. And then that last year is when I moved here. I met Samson and then we completely flipped it. I think I ran it in like 2:20. Like I crushed it. Like didn't stop one time, ran it the whole time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that was the mega launch of me changing everything.
Sure.
And so just being around, this like like-minded people that like when I met him and all of a sudden the people are around all the time are like just training and nutrition and all the stuff. You're like, you just start falling into it and it just becomes a habit.
Sure. Well, that's what I miss about working in the gym the most.
Yeah.
Honestly, is the inherent positivity and motivation. Like nobody works in a gym unless they want to change something.
Correct.
They are motivated, not just motivated, they're disciplined,
Yep.
And so actually I have a theory that the best recruits that we've ever got in this business were blacktop hustlers. People who worked in gyms.
Yeah.
Not only because they wanted to change something about themselves and were disciplined to do so, but they realized you can't make any money doing this stuff unless you're really good at it.
And I feel the same way between Pursuit and Cycle Bar. We have so many girls from Cycle Bar that were like CSU athletes, and they're my best employees.
Yeah,
like they're just disciplined.
Yeah,
waking up early is not a big deal, and they just get it. They're just all like locked in a certain way that they live life.
Sure,
and it doesn't budge if it's in their sport or in their job.
Yeah,
so we've always had the most success with those people.
I almost always say yes to like when we're interviewing people. I almost always say yes if they have 2 things in their resume. It's not even in their resume usually. Were they an athlete?
Right.
And do they have kids?
Yeah.
No joke.
Something to fight for and build habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like those
1,000%.
2 things because this person has been through some shit.
Correct.
They've forced themselves past those breaking points. They have forced themselves not to be comfortable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, having kids will make you uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah. You have no other choice.
I
guess you do, but you're a shitty parent if you don't.
1,000%. Yeah. 1,000%.
So, well, that's pretty wild. So I guess let's talk about that transformation. So it changed the way you handled yourself, your health. What did that do mentally for you? Like as you progressed into the future, what has it changed about your life in ways outside of just the gym?
Definitely just like made me like a little more type A, I guess, you know, like I still have a little, a procrastination in me naturally. Yeah, it's like, it's just changed the way that I've like attacked things. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, our kids doing something, me working at Cycle Bar, which is like a totally different monster than the gym. It's like, tell everyone it's like the yin and yang of my life. But you know, just if I decide to do something, like we're doing it full tilt. You know, like we're not gonna half-ass this, and just implementing that in my kids as well. Hey, if we start a sport, we're finished the sport. I don't care if you hate it. So that's probably the biggest take.
Yeah, I got lucky with that part of things. My parents were. I mean, grew up in like a really. We weren't like homeless. But we were not. We weren't doing well. Right. So they worked very hard for what they had, but they did whatever they could to keep us in sports. As many sports as they could do, whatever they could handle. There's 4 of us kids. So they were. I don't know how they figured it out, honestly. My mom my parents split up was in 7th grade, so my mom somehow figured out how to continue that all the way through because it was younger kids and whatever. But that was one of the things that they taught us really young, and I think that they didn't realize what they were teaching us because they're like, if you start this sport, I don't think you realize how much we have to invest to just get you here.
That's true.
Right. And it's like, so if you're not the first person on the field, the first person, you know, the fastest person around the bases, whatever sport that it was, they're like, we're ripping you out of this thing. And if you don't like the sport, you're already here. We've already invested. You're going to finish this fucking thing.
No, 1,000%.
And so that's, I've instilled that into my kids. It's like they try different things, different sports. And I'm like, I don't care that you don't like it. You've already started. You're going to finish this season. And then you can try something else. And it's broke them a few times. I get a lot of tears about it, but at the same time. So
I'm sure you've experienced this too, but sometimes like when they make it out on the other end, they're asking to play that sport again.
Exactly. And that's my son in wrestling is kind of in that. You know, he's kind of a teddy bear in some senses, but an absolute animal in other senses. It just depends on if he can flip a switch or not. And so, he hated wrestling, but then he asked to come back to wrestling once he realized that other sports are not like this.
Correct. And low key, you're like, fuck yeah. Like you're so happy.
I didn't say anything, but I went and jumped in the other room.
1,000%. That sport that'll turn you into a different type of human.
It will. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that can do that, but for me, I mean, that was in my past, so that was the one that taught me the key things.
That sport's just different.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's mental, physical, spiritual, even emotional exhaustion. It's like, who are you when you got nothing left?
Yeah,
you know?
1,000%.
It's like the gym, though, too, at the same time, because it's you versus you. I mean, the weights aren't your enemy. You have to use the weights. It's your head that's your enemy.
You know? 1,000%.
So that's pretty wild. So I kind of definitely have just randomly asked you questions. But I think I would like to talk a little bit about some of the similarities that I have with certain things. So I worked in the gym for a little while. It was about a 5-year stint.
What like type of facility was it?
So it was a HVLP model gym. So for those, I don't even know if that's a normal term any longer.
No, I've never heard of that.
It meant high value, low price point.
Okay, so it's just like kind of like a Planet Fitness-y.
So Planet Fitness was basically the pioneer.
Okay.
But Planet Fitness really had a lot of some pretty dark things built into what they were doing to keep people inside of the gyms.
Right.
Honestly, like the only reason that they offer pizza, like they offered pizza to people at one time because there was a flood in one of their units.
Okay.
So to get people to actually come back to the gym after they restored
That's
it.
how that started.
So there's a flood in one of them, and they gave pizza to them to attract them to come back to the gym. Let's have a grand reopening party. But then they had more people show up to the pizza party than they had ever seen walk through the door.
I never heard that story.
And they're like, wow, okay.
We need to keep this going.
And actually it transpired into something, like I said, darker than that, because the real reason they offer pizza is because they know that people will in their minds, they'll, what's the word? I can't think of the word. They'll justify the gym membership. Because they think it's part of their food budget.
They're like working it off. So it's okay.
Not even just that. It's that like, okay, so if I have to pay $10 or $20 a month for this gym membership.
Got it.
I can just look at that like it's groceries.
That's like I'm covering that side of things. Okay, that makes sense.
So people keep doing it, and they purposely make it like the painting inside, like the colors are supposed to make you not want to be there for very long. So that they can, go well over their capacity for memberships.
Well, and also
never actually see all of them in the
their
same
equipment
place
doesn't get destroyed. Low maintenance costs.
All that stuff.
That makes sense.
They have some dark reasons behind it. So the gym owners, the people that I worked for, so I worked directly for the two owners. One of them to this day is still somebody I consider like one of the greatest people
Cool.
I've ever met. He's a mentor. His name's Nolan. The other guy was like my enemy. I hated his business partner, but it just so happened that he was my boss.
Okay.
Nolan was somebody I was like, I'll work for you.
Yeah.
But I'll deal with him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyways, when I got into it, it was a side gig because I was trying to get into medical or dental school, like I was telling you from before, because I got that crazy history of I'm not cut out to be a construction company owner.
Yeah,
I don't have any history for it. I just have, I don't know, blood, sweat, and tears, and here we are.
Yeah.
But anyways, they basically did a spinoff. They took LA Fitness and the sales strategy of LA Fitness and the offerings and price point of Planet Fitness.
Okay.
So they're like, let's give our clients literally everything they could ever want, so they have no excuse not to walk through the doors. And then when they walk through the doors, we're going to apply LA Fitness methodology. We're going to sell the shit out of them on personal training, so they actually make some money.
Yeah.
Right. So like they could make a good living off of even only at $10 or $20 memberships or whatever it was. If they had enough members, they'd still always have a pretty good amount of, regular monthly draft. But it was really in their personal training sales is the reason that they had this whole elusive thing put together for them. Right. So it was a little bit different in that it's a large big box gym concept, which I wasn't used to, but they had me sold on the ideas that they had. They're like, okay, we've got this women only section over here. So the people that aren't comfortable, we'll give them their own isolated area. Yeah. We got this movie theater in the back where you can go behind closed doors in the dark and sweat your ass off so nobody's looking at you and whatever. And so they just put all these methodologies together and they plugged it into one. And actually, they were doing really, really well. When I first started with them, they had one gym. We opened the second gym. So they had one.
Where was the first one at?
The first one was in Connecticut.
Okay.
Did they start in Connecticut? Or they started? No. So yeah, I can't even remember which one was first now, but I was in the second one, which was in Greeley. So,
geez.
Yeah, the second one was in Greeley. And they were really smart. They were incredibly smart guys. So they did a bunch of research on demography is where they were going to place their gyms. They're like, let's look at a place that's underserved in terms of health and wellness.
Right.
So they're like, okay, how many gyms, whether they're boutique gyms, performance training gyms, whatever, how many are there? Is there a university in the town that has exercise and physiology as one of the majors, like that it's known for, which UNC has excellent sports and health and exercise science degrees and stuff like that. So they pull their trainers out of there at a cheap rate because they don't have any experience. Yeah. Right. And then, do they have over 200,000 people with in the population with mixed with basically no other options to go for a gym. They're like, this is a perfect spot. And they just kind of placed them in areas and the model worked really well. So we went into Greeley. I took a job thinking that it was already open.
You had to build it.
We had to build it still.
How convenient.
And it was funny, too, because I grew up like 4 blocks down the road. Like until second grade, I lived down there. Are you familiar with Tottie's grocery store?
No, I'm not.
You're in LA,
familiar,
so if you had grown up anywhere near Greeley, you knew what Tottie's was. But anyways, this broken down grocery store. I walked in the first day. Chained doors, right? And it's dark inside and there's hobo trash all over the place. I was like, the fuck is
what's going on?
It's like I'm
wrong address.
I'm never gonna try to apply for a job where I find it on I think I found it on Craigslist, honestly, is where I found it.
Thriving Craigslist at the time.
But anyways, I get there and then this dude, it's snowing outside and he shows up in a rear wheel drive Charger.
Okay.
And he's sliding all over the place. He pops out of this car with this ponytail and these big old glasses. And he starts talking to me in an East Coast accent and doesn't take the glasses off even when we're inside. And I was like, what is going on? But it was, what was wild about it, we go inside and he just paints me a picture of what he's about to build here. Okay. And he just sells me on this idea. He's like, this is going to be the greatest thing that Greeley has ever seen. Yeah. I was like, you're right. Yeah. Let's do this shit. And so I ended up running the pre-sale. The pre-sale lasted for forever because they didn't have enough money to open this thing. So they were really smart. Like they financed, or they didn't, what was the word? So they got all the gym equipment in, but it was on a net 90 term. Okay. So they purposely wouldn't start shipping the equipment out to the gyms until we knew we could open within 90 days. So the second the first month's drafts went through, they could pay off the note and all that stuff. So they were hustlers. Right. And but anyways, that's where I actually gained my love for the world of sales. Right. Because this guy, I remember when we were doing pre-sale stuff, we'd have to go business to business and try to convince people to sign up for a gym that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And he would do it in like 30 seconds. He'd walk in with those glasses on, never take them off. He's got this ponytail. And within like 30 seconds, someone have their card, writing down the numbers on their card on a form for a gym that doesn't exist.
That's awesome.
My mind is blown.
Yeah, I can do this.
So, but anyways, that's why I said that I think the blacktop hustlers are like people who've worked in a gym or people who've been in any form of athletics. They're just a different type of person.
Yeah, for sure.
When they come in here, like they're not like these guys. Like I have to tell these guys all the time, I'm like, you have to use a blue collar work ethic and a white collar job. If you're a salesperson, it's like you're paid directly proportional to the effort that you put into this thing. And so if you're working 10 hours, expect 10 hours worth of pay. You know what I mean? I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's kind of what pushed me into the industry, and I started to love everything about it.
Yeah.
They immediately put me into the general manager position once we opened the gym, which was my first management job. But I had people who were, 40, 50 years old working for me. At the time I was like 21,
a little awkward sometimes.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I was questioning a lot of things, but I ended up growing and developing in it. But the industry of fitness to me was just that little small thing. Now in my mind, what I wanted to do eventually was branch out. I wanted to go and open up a gym. So that's actually where the name Pride came from.
Oh, okay.
Pride Fitness was what I wanted to call it.
That's cool.
I wanted to open the same thing, like a big box gym, call it like the Cubs corner, for the daycare and whatever, and just use all these play on words things. But anyways, I realized as I went along, I'm like, I don't work out here.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm selling this to the general population, but I don't work out here. The reason I don't work out here is this is not really a motivating environment. Right. When you walk into Pursuit, it's different.
It's different.
Every single person in there is on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have something in their mind that they're unwilling to waver on. Right. So how does that happen? Like where does that come from?
Well, Samson always had this like dream of like building, like, cause he played football at CU. And so he always had this dream of like building a collegiate facility for general population.
Yeah.
And so I never got to that level, but I was like, I could see where that makes a lot of sense because there's tons of, like 1% go professional from the sport they play, like maybe less than that. And so it's like, like that would probably be your best demographic because those people are going to be training forever. So you're going to have a forever client probably, and they don't want a gym. They want a training facility. So that's the whole point behind like Pursuit Performance and Training, And so, when we opened that, we're like, we're always going to push toward the ex-collegiate athlete or like big time high school athlete, that's now has a family. Now their kids are pursuing sports. Right. So like our dream clientele, is really you guys, right? It's like you guys both, played sports at a high level and still want to train. And now your kids are playing sports and need to train. So it's like, what better way to like compress your time with dropping your kids off at Sports Performance and then you're training right next to them inside the gym. Yeah. So we call it the ESPN family. Yeah. Like we want the family that, the parents played sports at a high level. They still want to train. The kids are coming up and getting ready to start playing sports. Yeah. And if we do it right and give them an environment that they thrive in and they love the coaches and they feel safe in, we're going to have kids and we have kids that have started at 10 years old and they're out of college now still training at the gym. It's like a forever client, Yeah. So that's what we just wanted to bring something that had a little attitude to the gym environment. Like I can't go into a commercial gym and listen to Kenny G. Like I just can't do it.
I loved that when I worked in the first time. I was metal playing. I was like, okay, we're out of the crazy.
Well, the old gym was like the best because the old facility was the best because like we didn't give a shit, and I was like, dude, we're playing death metal all day. And if you want to be in here, great. And if not, I don't need you. Obviously things have changed a little bit. Like we still play hip hop and a lot of heavy metal and stuff like that, but like I've definitely tuned it back a smidget.
It's funny how you said it because that's when I remember telling Lachlan because he's like, so who is Zach?
Yeah.
And anytime I've ever talked about Pursuit, I'm like, just imagine a D1 training center.
Yeah.
That civilians can go to.
That's it to a T.
And it's so funny you said that because I was like, that's what I saw.
Well, dude, nothing like makes me happier than like when I'm like at the front counter or whatever and like seeing someone come in for the first time that played collegiate sports and they're just like
sign me up.
Thank you. Yeah. Like they're just so thankful that we built something that they can connect with because they did it for such a long time, And they know that when they come in there, they're going to see the same people. grinding as hard as they can, and you're no longer the biggest dude in your gym anymore.
Yeah.
Because there is monsters in that gym.
That was wild. Like, because I've been in a lot of gyms.
Yeah.
And the only time I've ever felt like, hey, I'm not the biggest, baddest guy here was when I was in college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
And when I got into Pursuit, I was like,
Same
I'm in college
Same
all
feeling.
over again.
Yeah.
I'm just some peon here.
Yep. Yeah, because, you know, I was training, like me and Samson, before we opened anything, we used to train at the OG Gold's Loveland. And, you know, like, we're in there just crushing, you know? And then, like, when we built Pursuit, we're like, oh, shit. Like, there's some bad dudes here.
I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to training. Like, I've toned it down a lot. I told you, I pretty much am screwed for 3 weeks at this point in my life if I do anything like I used to.
Go too hard, yeah.
But, I used to have people sending me, like, reels or little snippets, or when it was Vines or whatever, they send me stuff of, like Juji Mufu.
Doing crazy crap. Yeah, you're like, I can do that.
They're like, who hurt you, bro? Because that's all I was. I was just the guy in the corner sweating profusely, making a whole shitload of noise and never talking to anybody.
Right, yeah, 1,000%.
I'm like, I'm here to work on me, dude. Leave me alone.
Right, yeah. No, that's it, 1,000%.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about this, like, segment 2 portion, the process. I think that we've talked, like we were just talking about how Pursuit's not like your normal gym, and it feels intentional, which it clearly is, but I think that we should talk a little bit about, like, how motivation culture is bullshit. You know, and I don't know how to spin into that. What do you think we should do?
Yeah, well, it's just like with the motivation thing, like, I think that's what we, like, early on, like, we were all, like, kind of built on, you know. It's like, I need motivation to do this, and, like, we need to get after it because that's motivating, and but I think we've all just started realizing that's not the real magic. The magic is the habits and consistency. You know, because motivation, you know, like, I can listen to Goggins and want to run through a wall for 10 minutes. That's not as long as
then I feel the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And then my workout is not going to be 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's not, like, motivation once in a while, like, you need it and it's good. I'm very much I'm not the most competitive person on the planet, but if you, like, want to unleash some shit and motivate me a little bit, like, tell me I'm not going to do something. That will.
I feel you on that one.
That usually lights me on fire a little bit.
my stepdad recently passed away, but that was actually, we knew it was coming. So, and it doesn't make it any better, but he got 5 extra years with us.
That's
so
good. Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. But, like, what's funny when you said that is, like, tell me I can't do something. I remember, so when I was trying to figure out which college I wanted to go to, I had great grades. I was I don't know. I was like my parents' wet dream. And I never partied. Never partied. Captain of everything. Unfortunately, wasn't the valedictorian, but at least it was my best friend that was a valedictorian.
That's cool. Yeah, you're close enough. Yeah, you're close enough.
You know, so I got to give this, like, the commencement speech and all that stuff. But anyways, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I wanted to play football. I had an offer. I didn't have a scholarship, but I had a walk-on offer, or one of those, like, I can't remember what it was called, but it's like, hey,
get you in the door.
You don't have to try out. You can be on the team. We're just not going to pay for it at CSU to play football.
Cool.
So they didn't want to give me any money, but they're like, sure, come get
your
ass beat.
We can use your body. Yeah,
we can get your ass beat for a little bit.
We need a practice squad guy.
You know? I had some offers at, like, some D2 schools and whatever, but I had 2 offers from wrestling schools, and my stepdad goes, I don't think you can do it. Because you don't have the discipline for it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay.
I don't have the discipline for it.
Yeah.
Next day, signed the papers. I was on my way.
Watch those motherfuckers. Yeah.
So, like, I've actually, like, I've told him this in a number of different ways, different settings and whatever. I was like, look, you changed my life.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that he had said something kind of fucked up, honestly, at the time. But it changed everything about me. That my time wrestling in college has formed the rest of my life. Everything I learned there, but it all boiled to the same point that you were just making. Motivation is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, we all need it every once in a while. You want to, you listen to some cool song, it might lift you up a little bit. You might watch some inspirational video. You might watch, Eric Thomas or whatever it is, and it gets you going for 20, 30 minutes, or maybe all the way through a whole workout.
Right.
But showing up the next day, right? Like, you're going to just hook up an IV of motivation. I was like, you can't synthesize this stuff.
That's not real.
And so I really liked Jocko Willenick's books, like Discipline Equals Freedom.
Yeah.
Because that's really, it's just like counterintuitive to the world that we live in. It's like discipline equals freedom. It's
Right.
like these words don't correlate to most people at all.
Yeah.
It's like, but actually, if you discipline your habits, you discipline every part of your life, you're going to buy yourself the life that you want, the freedom of the life that you want.
Well, and that's when I start working with new clients, like they always want to have like that talk about like weight loss and this and this and that. And it's like all of that comes when you start building the habits that make those changes. So it's like I never talk to anyone. We're never doing a fat loss regimen. That's not where this is starting. We're starting at you sleeping 8 hours a night, and this is starting at you meal prepping your food and doing this consistently at least 6 of the 7 days, and then you hydrating properly each day. And it's like if we do that at a high level, and you start doing all of those things together at a high level, then yes, the result of that is you losing fat.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. I used to just like douse my clients with all this crap, right? Like we're gonna change this and this and this and do this and and it would just become so overwhelming that it would turn into failure.
Yeah.
And so
it's like a New Year's resolution.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So so then when I dialed it back, I'm like, we're just gonna start doing these every day. These 3 little things. I'm not gonna like pour like gas on the fire, right? Like we're just gonna do these 3 things for the next 3 months, and then weird, all of a sudden the scale's down, 20, 30 pounds. It's like great. Now we can start adding more to your plate since you're already doing these things automatically.
Sure.
And so it's like if I'm just constantly just amping up the client, like, gotta hit it hard today, kill it, crush it, like first off, I'm gonna get tired doing that motivating stuff every single day. Sure. But also like when they hear the same thing over and over each week, like they're gonna get dumbed down from that and they're gonna lose the motivation to get those things done.
Sure.
So it's like we just take a different angle of like it's habit building, and those habits turn into consistency, and that consistency turns into weight loss. And it's exactly what I did to lose all my weight.
It's such a simple thing, but it's so hard.
It's so hard
because it's the opposite of what you think that you need to do.
Well, it's because it's challenging.
Yeah.
And it's not human nature like for us to challenge ourselves all the time every day.
Yeah.
We, like I said, we want the easy road. We want the easy food at McDonald's that is cheap and I can just go grab and go.
Yeah.
Meal prep is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But it's like those are the things that you need to start chipping away at to like get the results that you really want.
Sure.
And if you can't do it, you don't really want the results.
100%.
Well,
I saw this. It was in a sales seminar that I went to, but it was a graph and basically started like this, and then they changed like this.
Yeah.
And this was instant gratification versus delayed gratification.
Right.
We're talking about, and it's like, okay, eating McDonald's is instant gratification. You're hungry, you ate, somebody else prepared it for you, and it's cheap.
Yep.
Right. And it sustains you for maybe 20 minutes. And then you start to feel like absolute ass.
Yep.
And you take it down here and you have to work it off if you ever want to get out of that low place that you're in. The opposite can be said. And you can say that for TV. Right?
Yeah.
How much time you watch TV, how much time you dedicate to your kids, how much time you dedicate to your profession, whatever it is. It's like if it's easy, it's going to be minimal.
Yeah.
True. So one of the things you said that I'm trying not to overly like relate the stupid shit that I used to say when I worked in the gym, but when so Inspire, it started as Inspire Fitness was the name of the gym company.
Okay.
Then there was franchise or trademark issues because when it branched to another state, somebody else had the name Inspire Fitness and they couldn't buy it from them. So it transpired into Aspire Fitness.
Okay.
They just changed the I and A and IN and moved on. But anyways. The reason I bring it up, in that world, I worked front end operations, right? So I was in charge of gym maintenance. I was in charge of gym membership sales. I was in charge of basically anything operational that was going on. And like I said, our objective was always to bring as many people through the doors and then get them in front of a trainer as fast as possible to sell them.
That's where the money was at,
right? Now, I did a small stint after that was over in Vasa Fitness. You remember?
Yeah, sure. No, I know Vasa.
So Vasa is basically the exact same as Aspire Fitness. Same methodology, same styles of training, same amenities, whatever you want to call it. But I switched to the other side. It was training sales is what I did over there. And so training sales was different, right? I tell these guys all the time, it's easier to sell a roof than it is to sell training. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this is $20,000. That's $100 a month or $200 or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, you're selling an idea. You're not selling a product,
Right.
You're selling an idea that you can be a better person tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And so we'd use simple things like that. When people come in and they're like, I want to lose 20 pounds. You're like, okay, how do you intend to do that? And you have all these questions and whatever, but it's like, I'd say the same thing every time. It's like, look, weight loss and aesthetics are a byproduct of habits and hard work. We've got to get the small stuff right. Right. So we're going to start you low. We're gonna do some balance and coordination drills. You can drink some water and you're gonna sleep. And that's
and they think they're paying for nothing.
They feel like it, but then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I feel so much better. You're like, wow, because you've captured 2 of the 3 things that you need. The trifectas: exercise, sleep or rest, and nutrition. So you got 2 of them. They're pretty damn easy, aren't they?
I know, and you're so screwed up that the easy things worked. That's how bad you are.
Yeah, it's funny how much progress you make doing basically nothing.
Correct.
But anyways, it was funny that how similar the mindset is in the way that you guys do things, but you do it on such a high scale level with people. So I'm wondering what your sales methodology is in the gym. Like, do you turn people away?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
Our motto is like, we're the place everyone comes when everyone else has failed them. And it's because I know we're a higher ticket facility. I get it, but it's because I have all the best people in place
and the best equipment.
Best facility. Our place is pretty dope. But it's funny though, because when we first opened and started, so we stole we have another partner, Carrie Ann, and Carrie Ann's been working for us since day one. We stole her from the Gold's Gym we used to work at, and I was like, she's pretty badass. Like, we should take her with us. And we literally just stole Carrie Ann, and she's now an owner, which is crazy. But she was the nutritionist that became the registered dietitian. But when we started the company, we were like bringing people in, and we're like, we're going to hit all 3 macros right away and do this and this and this. And, we would go for 6 months, and I knew some of these people were doing it perfectly, and they just weren't changing at all. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, we were like just sitting there like, what is going on? And then she was like, I wonder if it's like internal issues. I wonder if it's blood work and all this other stuff that we need to get rolling to like really see what's going on. That's really what cracked us into being like a full transformation, facility. Because then the second we started getting blood paneling done, hormone testing, all this stuff, and then we're like, cool, let's fix the internals first. Then let's move into the nutrition and training side of things. And now we know that there's no walls that we're running into.
Or things fighting each other.
Exactly. And so the second we did that, that's what really changed the building into what it is now. Now we're looked at this like full, complete wellness transformation. Because you can't really do private training with us until your blood work is done.
Really?
Like, we won't even take you on. Because I'm going to lose you if there's something, like hormonally that's going on, thyroid, whatever, that we don't look at and change. Yeah, you're going to train your ass off and do all the nutrition right, and guess what? You're going to look exactly the same.
You don't have a marketing contract? You ever read a marketing contract?
Yeah, no.
Every one of them ends with like, we can't guarantee any what we
results.
Just proposed is going to actually work. It's like, people they're paying for the results. Right?
Yes,
they have to work for their results.
Well,
that's what they're paying for.
And there's only so many people in this area, right? So like, if they're not doing that, the easy stuff first, the blood work, and then I just bring them on and we do nutrition training in 6 months. If they don't look any different, guess what? I'm going to lose them and I'm never getting them back.
Yeah.
So let's spend the $250 on getting the blood work done and then figuring out the easy things that we need to fix there to make sure everything else is on track.
Sure.
So once we started doing that and started like dishing out like crazy results from, general population people, we work with some freaks, but for the most part, it's just gen pop. It's moms and dads. We started dishing out, the results on all this stuff. That's really when the business started kicking up into this full transformation studio.
So word got out.
Yes, word got out for sure. Yeah. And people like when you say you're not going to work with someone because they're not doing the blood work, you'll get their respect. Because they're like, oh shit, okay, this isn't like, I don't get to. The other thing I fucking hate, and I'm sure you did this too, like packages, dude.
Yeah, I was the bane of your existence. I definitely gave out the fucking packages and I made deals and I did all sorts of stuff.
You don't get to come to me and tell me when you're gonna train.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, that's like going to the doctor and be like, I'm gonna do brain surgery. This is how you're gonna do the brain surgery, right? This is how I want it done. No. I'm the professional. Like, you're coming to me because you need help. So I'm actually gonna tell you when you're gonna train, how many days you're gonna train, how we're gonna do nutrition and attack hormones. You don't get to tell me.
Yeah.
So people get mad about that. Well, I travel a lot, and I need to train 3 days this week and 1 day next week, and then I'm gone for 2. I don't think you're a good fit.
Yeah.
Like, I need someone that's serious, ready to go, that's going to train 4 days a week. Yeah. You're going to hit your nutrition 6 out of 7 days, and we're going to do the blood panel and get your thyroid dialed in.
How do you handle that? The travel, like if people are traveling.
Dude, Carrie Ann has all the tricks up her sleeve. Like, and we have partnerships with Clean Eats. We can get stuff shipped all over the place. Like, we have all the tricks in place.
Good.
We've just done it for so long now.
So you've gotten rid of the excuses.
No excuses allowed.
It boils down to, are you going to commit or you're not going to commit?
1,000%. So
that's great. So what you just went over in your world of business is what for these guys I call them professional buyers.
Right. Yeah.
I call them
that's
professional
great.
buyers because it's like, okay, if somebody is like there's no transparency to what they actually want.
Right.
We're not going to be able to break you through anything. They're going to make you rush to the bottom to deliver the best result, but at the lowest price, all these things.
Yeah.
What you have to do is say no.
Right.
Right. Number one, you're going to get their attention.
1,000%. Right. You'll get the respect real quick.
You'll get their respect and their attention. They might not go with you.
Right.
But you've saved yourself so much time and stress. So much time and stress.
So many fights and arguments. Like, it's the same thing.
The common saying around here is, 10% of your clients are going to create 90% of your problems.
Yes.
So know when to say no.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Well, how nice would life be if you had a button or something to click and all of a sudden 90% of all your stresses are gone? Well, just say no.
Right. Yeah. It's 1,000% real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. Like, it's like when you tell people no, like, it definitely grabs their attention because you're like, what? Like, no, you need my money.
I thought I was the stakeholder here.
Actually, I don't need your money at all. Like, I want you to have results, and so you tell people that your money was worth it.
Sure.
Like, because if you don't, if I just let you do what you want, you start telling your whole friends group that we suck at what we do and you're the same for 6 months. Like, that's just, it's the compounding effect of that over the couple of years is a closed gym.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You equalize your business stature. You set firm boundaries and you have expectations.
As hard as it is.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people I want to take and like do this and that, but I just know that it's not going to end well.
So do you have like kind of threshold? I don't know if the right word is thresholds, but let's say somebody really is committed at the beginning of when they start working with you. They do the hormone testing and the blood panels, all that stuff, and they're great for 3 or 4 months, and then something happens in their life.
Right.
And they fall off the wagon. How do you guys bring them back, or do you bring them back?
Oh, we try hard. Obviously we've had those events where like you've done everything, like me showing up at their front door. Like, hey,
you've done that.
Oh, yeah. We've done that.
Bro, we're going to the gym.
This is important to me. Like, I need you to get on board, and like we've had a couple of those over the years, saying like, just, you can't even get them back, but like, you got to keep dumping into these people. Like, a lot of us, it's just not natural to like make a change that big, and so, but the one way that we've recently gotten, locked in, people that are even more locked in, is that your private training contract is 1 year. Like, there's no more month-to-month or 3-month block. So it's like, now you really have the people that are bought in.
Sure.
Because like a year is all, and
commitments scare people.
Well, yeah, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I get it. So it's like you're paying $1,200 a month.
Yeah, and the intention of this commitment is not so that you can collect that
zero
unnecessary pay, but it's like, hey, your wallet means something to you.
Correct.
So let's commit to you.
Correct. Like,
let's commit to preserving our resources.
I need to know you're all in.
Yeah.
And the way I'm going to know that is because most people, $1,200 for a year is a lot of money. $1,200 a month per year. So it's like, if that person says yes, I know at least I have them bought in more than 50%. So let's just put them with the best coach that they, communicate with the best and vibe with the best. Yeah. And now have that coach start to build them up.
Yeah.
So where we don't get to that point where they start vanishing for months at a time,
Yeah, there's I don't know, it's like a covenant relationship between a trainer and a client.
It's
like you become family.
And if you don't, I tell my coaches all the time, I go, listen, if you're not getting invited to weddings and birthday parties, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, all my clients, my book was full, like, dude, like, I'm flying to Mexico with some of my clients because like we're just like family at that point.
Yeah.
So if there's just that disconnect and you're not there, like within a 3 to 4 month period, it's like the building of that person isn't being done right.
Sure.
Like, it's because it's a personal thing. When someone gives you like they're vulnerable to you like that and saying, hey, like, I need you to help me change my life. Like, you better be all in.
You have to respect that.
Oh,
like,
dude.
There's a level of like what is the word? it's not just commitment. It's
no,
like
it's beyond that. You know, it's like you're just opening up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every door's open at that point.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like duty. Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you better take that serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty confident all my coaches are at that level.
Good.
You know, and the ones that aren't, like, they just kind of weed themselves out.
Yeah.
You know,
People have a way of doing that.
Yeah. It usually
People
works out.
And hire and fire themselves all the time.
Usually works out pretty good.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the motivation vein still a little bit, but in a different light.
Yeah.
So you sometimes have clients that don't go the way that you want them to. You're always in the gym, you know, you're always working with people, you're in the environment all the time. Do you ever find it hard to keep yourself disciplined because you're focusing on other people's discipline? Yeah. And that's the thing I found the hardest. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I'm such an extrovert,
Mm-hmm.
and like what fills my cup is, I'm the least money motivated human you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a big paycheck one time and thought it was like the greatest day. I thought it was gonna be the greatest thing ever, and dude, it hit my bank account, and I could care fucking less.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that means nothing to me. Like, it makes me live
Sure.
and take care of my kids,
Yeah.
my wife. You know,
it's fuel.
dude, it's
Mhm.
I really like what. And then I literally went to the gym and got to see everyone, and hang out with everyone, and it just like filled up my cup.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult for me, is that I'm gotten much better,
Mm-hmm. but
I will sacrifice my training time to like pour my time into everyone else.
Sure.
And it's just because if you're giving me your money
Mhm.
that you work so hard for to spend time in my facility, like, you have no idea how much I appreciate and love you.
Right.
Like, that's a big deal to me.
Mhm.
Like, coming from someone that came from nothing,
Yeah.
for now having people like you and your family to trust me to be in my environment, like, that means way more than anyone will ever know.
Sure.
So because of that, I love just pouring into my people.
Yeah.
And in turn,
Yeah.
it fucks up my training and lifestyle. It
does that, doesn't
it happened to me today.
Yeah.
It happened to me today. Like, I was just in it, like, right before I came over here, and I was just like crushing this workout. And then, like, there's a couple of new clients that just got back from college.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen and I want to catch up with and like love on them, and 30 minutes disappeared and I was on my way over here. You know, so
sorry, I took
no,
some
you're
of the
good,
way
man.
too,
No, you're
yeah.
good. Like, so I've been getting better for sure. But yeah, it's for me, it is super hard. Samson's like nose to the grindstone, like headphones in.
Just keep your eyes down. Don't make
Yeah,
eye
I
contact.
know. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've gotten
Yeah.
better. My wife's and that's like what it's like the magic between me and my wife,
Mhm.
because she's the same way, but it's also like at her own detriment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you guys are people.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was the one thing I always found the hardest. I ended up at one point, because I think I worked in the gym for, I think it was just about 5 years, something like that. And at I think year 3, I stopped working out at the gym.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to go buy a new gym membership
Right.
somewhere.
Right. Yeah. No,
some shitty gym
I
somewhere
did that
where
for
nobody knows.
Yeah.
who
No,
I am.
I did that for a while. Before the new building's just too sick.
Yeah.
So like I can't even justify that anymore. like I just want to be in there all the time. But the old building, I went and got a membership at a place right next to our house in Fort Collins, and it worked for a little bit. But the problem is like, dude, like trainers, I'm just like, they're just so bad. Like I try to put blinders on in other gyms and facilities, and it's just like, it's so hard.
It is, yeah.
Because I just want to be like, don't let them do that.
Yeah.
Like, please
Yeah.
change the movement pattern on that.
Mhm.
Like, they need so much more help.
Yeah.
So, I've been there for sure.
Well, so a couple other questions in this, like the process section of the conversation. So, do you ever find, let's talk about clients you can't get along with?
Okay. That's only happened to me one time. Thank God.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, thank God.
Well, do you find it difficult, even if it's not one that you can't get along with, like you can get along with them, but they boil your blood? What do you do?
So that one, they left on their own. Like, I was probably 2 weeks away from firing them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things. Dude, I'm all in on like pouring all my time and effort into you to like keep like lifting you up. But dude, when it's every week,
Mhm.
you have an excuse and blunt everything that I'm trying to do to like make you better.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you can only do so much. Like, I can only drag you along so far, you know, like you can lead a horse to water.
Mhm.
But yeah, in 10 years, I've only had one of those.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate. But when, like, it wasn't just me. Like, when they're fighting me
Mhm.
and fighting my registered dietitian and fighting my hormone specialist, like, that just tells me at the end of the day that you really don't want it. You know, so luckily we've only come across a few of those. But I think because of the environment that we've built, people walk in and know that it's like a no fuck around place.
Yeah.
So this guy slipped through the cracks, unfortunately.
Houdini.
Yeah, I just weeded himself out. So that was honestly, like in the 10 years I've been doing this, that was probably one of the most frustrating like spans that I ever had with a client, for sure.
Well, so if we're talking about the shitty ones, so on the good side of things, so are there character traits or events in people's lives or something that generally the pattern tends to lead them to be just the best client, the one that will meet their goals? You know it from the start. Like, is there anything about people that gets them there, or is it just...
I think kind of like what I went through, you know, like there's something happened, like a specific event or moment where like you just tell.
Yeah.
Like when you meet with someone and like just in their eyes, they're just like, I'm fucking done. And like, I'm ready to go. Like you could feel that, you know, like it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I think that takes time, like for you to be in that industry. Like I'm sure you'll see it. You could see it, you know, like you've been around the fitness world long enough. Like, you know, when it's bullshit, when someone tells like, I'm going to change my life. You're like,
right.
Cool. Good luck. Like, because I've done it at the highest level. I know like what that look is and like what that feeling is. And like when people speak it, like I have a client right now.
Conviction.
Yeah, I have a client right now that like day one he told me and I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah. And
he's murdering. And he's doing what I did.
Yeah.
Like he's losing over hundreds of pounds, you know? And so like when he told me straight up and I was like, oh, like I don't take on private clients anymore. And I took this guy because I was so amped.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling thing for me. You know, I can tell if it's fake
You're
or not.
kind of in that mastery phase.
Yeah, for sure.
You're so like, have you ever read that book, Mastery?
No, but I need to. Yeah.
Well, it's the 10,000 hours concept, but broken down into a novel and stuff. But they're talking about that at the end. It's like when you have achieved mastery.
Yeah.
Like let's talk about an instrument, right? It's like you're not playing a piano anymore. You are connected to the piano.
That's me and kettlebells. Like that's a perfect way to put it. Like that thing is just a part of my body.
Yeah.
You know.
And you guys are evolving together.
Yes.
It's not you're using something anymore. You are growing.
Correct. Yeah.
I love kettlebells. People hate kettlebells. I love kettlebells.
My entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't supposed to be. It was actually a complete accident that I started doing them. I went to a powerlifting seminar because I was powerlifting at the time with like my idol at the time. And it was a 3-day thing in Arizona. And like the whole first day was kettlebells. And I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah. I need to deadlift right now. Yeah. And then I started seeing the crossover. I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense. I'll start incorporating them a little bit. And then they just slowly took over my life. Sure. And I'm like, oh, this is the jam. Like this is like, it's so versatile. And then got certified strong first and then just went crazy on kettlebell work.
I remember the first time one of my coaches brought in Russian kettlebell training program, and I was like,
yep.
Well, and all of us were dumb kids, so we're picking weights way too heavy for what we were just about to experience. Right. I had a really not great relationship with kettlebells when it first started.
Yeah, if you don't do them right off the jump, and that's like obviously the one thing I always do. They hurt my back, and I'm like, no, they don't. Like your shitty form hurts your back.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah, we've definitely built like a cult-like following at Pursuit with kettlebell work now. So it's been good. Yeah.
I do like a little bit about like in the segment 3 where he's talking about pop culture callback stuff. It's like it fits your theme of the gym, right? So it's the comfort kills.
Yep.
There's no hero in any story that doesn't have a growth origin or like a challenge or whatever it is. So maybe we just kind of finish the episode, unless there's other things you want to go over.
No,
like
you want to do this is great.
But maybe we finish the episode talking a little bit about maybe like a hero's journey, so to speak. It's like yeah, the hero's journey, so to speak, where it's like we need challenges. Maybe the Joe Rogan style podcast. Yeah. It's like do hard shit.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be good? Let's talk about hard shit. Yeah. And if you're willing to do it, maybe I don't know how we could riff off that, but I think that's a good way to kind of pull it all back together.
Well, yeah, I think it just that's like incorporated like any like dude, if you're an entrepreneur. Dude, you're not doing like hard shit. Like that alone is hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's like, dude, if you're not willing to go like to the deepest depths on that bad boy, like your business is gonna fail.
Sure.
For sure.
Well, maybe let's talk about that a little bit. Like I've kind of leveled some of it out, but I've never really talked about it in full depth. Like really just how difficult it was to get just past the intro phases of things. So, like, for instance, I remember there was a very specific time where I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this because
we've all been there, dude.
Well, it was like I feel like only realists and people who are actually going to make it through things feel like they're failing constantly.
Oh yeah, no,
I think that's
totally,
Alex Hormozy who
yeah,
talks
yeah,
about that
that's
all
totally
the time.
real.
It's like if you think you're killing it, you're probably
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
way off.
It's true.
You know?
It's super true.
But I remember specifically we had just very like when we first started. I wasn't even an employee of the business. I 1099 myself to the business.
What year did you guys start this?
2019.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
2019. And I had a business partner at the time.
Okay.
And, you know, banks don't want to deal with this type of business. So we couldn't get a loan.
Okay.
There's huge attrition rates for people in restoration contracting. So it's like, that's too risky. We're not giving you any money. Nobody would invest any money whatsoever. So I took what little savings that I had. He took what little savings he had.
Yeah.
And I went and started knocking doors.
Okay.
I was like, all right, I guess we're going to bootstrap this shit into existence.
Yeah.
But we finally started getting a little bit of success, right? Like, okay, now let's start to go into version 2. When it's like, let's start bringing people in. Let's start sharpening our processes. Let's find better ways and more efficient ways to build the products, blah, 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 blah. But I remember we started bringing in salespeople and we had nothing in the bank. And payroll hit.
Wow. Been there.
And I was like, and it was like a week before Christmas.
Oh.
Or a week or 2 weeks before Christmas or whatever. And I ended up spending my entire savings to pay commissions to 2 salespeople so that they wouldn't leave. And I remember I was not really very fully transparent with Hannah about what was going on at the time.
She'll be fine. She'll still love me.
I was like, we're just gonna minimize our gifts.
Yeah.
We're gonna do stuff together.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat ramen because ramen's good,
it's so
not
delicious.
because it's the only thing we can afford.
Yeah. No, they have so many new flavors. We're good.
But I remember that hit me, and I was like, I can't pay for Christmas presents. My son's 2 years old or whatever at the time. I'm like, I'm failing. I can't do this anymore. And I think that those time periods really sort of just, it was like a burn the boats moment.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, like you're all in or all out.
It's like,
yeah.
I've hit this wall. I don't think I can climb this wall. But I'm going to have to bowl my way through this wall because there's no other option. Right? So you experience those things in your growth path here?
Yeah, dude. If you don't, like, you're either very fortunate and have the greatest product selling on earth. But it's so normal.
Or somebody else is financing it.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. But I tell people all the time, like, I have friends like, what's it like being an entrepreneur? Or my favorite line is, I want to be an entrepreneur so I can just set my own schedule. I go, working every day, 24 hours a day?
There's never a point where you're not working.
Zero.
Right? And even if you're not physically working, you're working. You're spinning.
You're fucking working. Like, that is the fakest thing I've ever heard in my life. But yeah, dude, I tell people all the time, it's like, dude, you'll wake up one day and you want to just shut everything down and jump off a cliff. Mm-hmm. And then the next day you wake up and it's the greatest decision you ever made in your life. Yeah. It's just part of the deal.
Oh yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like you should be pretty fearful every single day, especially when you have as many employees as you and I both do. Mm-hmm. Like, you're responsible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's like, if the gym shuts down, there's a lot of lives on the line, and kids and families that I care about a lot that are just turned upside down.
Yeah, but it's the crazy thing is the thing that is stressing you out the most is the thing that brings the most amount of like purpose and excitement and whatever, like pride.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Right? But it's like the thing, because you don't see it. An entrepreneur has it. You know, most people, they've found a way to become stoic with all of it, because if you can't be calm in the storm, nobody's going to follow you, right? But at the same time, there's about 3,000 plates spinning above your head all the time. It's like, how do I keep them spinning?
It's been a while. I never thought in a million years I'd be in this position. Like, this was not in the books for me at all. Like, when I worked at my old commercial job, I was like, man, 6 figures, a truck, gas card, and some health insurance, you know? And so when we
American dream.
Yeah. When I went all in on this, I went to no health insurance, no car. Yeah. And making like $20,000 a year. Oh yeah. Like, me and Samson didn't pay ourselves for 7 years.
Really?
Yeah. We just kept turning it back into the company.
So did you guys have side jobs?
Yeah. I was just still selling sprinklers and he was at Madwire.
Okay.
And so
because you guys were specifically trained, I know that you were doing the online training, which can be done kind of
well, we shut that down when we opened the gym. So we were all in on just the gym inside.
So it was specifically training. So you could actually do that where it's like, correct, these hours we're working our 9 to 5s, and then from 5 to whatever, that's when this is.
It was rough going there early.
So you're used to like them 22-hour days.
Oh, then, right? It was the first year with him and I, it was rough. Like, I think if I remember correctly, I was waking up at like 4 a.m. and we were running like 3 classes in the morning. And then I would run home, pick up my little boy, take him to childcare, go work my 9 to 5, pick him up, put him in a backpack on my back, and teach 2 more classes with him on my back. It was kind of famous. Like there's hundreds of pictures with Bronson in my backpack. And then Samson was doing the same shit. He was doing sports performance training in the morning, he'd go work at Mad Wire all day, and he'd come back and do sports performance training at night. Yeah. And we just did that for years until like things started. And like the gym was only open for certain hours. Like we weren't just open all day. So we're just bleeding revenue because the gym was closed for 8 hours in the middle of the day.
Right. Well, you've changed that. Right?
Yes.
You're maximizing 10 or so
the
revenue streams
now.
all day long, every single day.
This isn't working. Oh, we should be 24-hour access and all these other things that we're offering, and to maximize the entire facility. And so that's what we're doing now.
So, well, you're good at pivoting. You're good at adjusting. So that's it. That's step number 1.
It's part of the deal.
Able to make it through all of it. Yeah,
it's part of the deal.
So when you guys transition from the side hustle to this is the full-time thing, what made you feel comfortable doing it?
Oh, nothing. I was not comfortable. I was scared as shit. I was like, this is the dumbest decision I've ever made in my entire life. But at the time, though, I was so excited about the gym, and I was so fed up with my 22-year career that I was like, I have to do it. Like, if I don't, like, I'm going to go nuts here. And so I just fuck it. Yeah. And so we just did it.
It's like those cliche things. I got one sitting on my wall in my office right now. It's like entrepreneurship, the art of building a plane after you've already jumped off the cliff.
Literally, dude. It's so real. Yeah. It's so real. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like it's led me to so many great things, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I never thought I'd be in this position, like owning anything, let alone a 35,000 square foot gym.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome.
Where people are like,
that's awesome.
Where people are so stoked to train at, you know, like the culture in that place is just like unmatched.
Yeah. I'm trying my best to build, because I've had a gym in my for forever. I've got some pretty good like rogue gear, just functional training stuff, whatever. I still like the gym. No matter what, there's a difference. It's like nobody can tell me that it's not different. It's like, sure, I can bleed on my floor if I want to. Yeah. But when I go in there, I'm getting something.
Yeah, it's everyone thinks, because me and Sydney own cycle bars and a gym, that we have this like sick home gym. Yeah, and I'm like, we don't own a dumbbell. Like her and I just love being around everyone, like like just groups of people. Yeah. But I'm like, I would never train in my garage. Like that's not in me. Like I need to be around everyone and seeing everyone going harder than me to go hard. You know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like. It's like people call it ego lifting in a lot of ways, but it's like if I'm in a gym where everybody sucks. Yeah. Like,
it'll suck your soul out of your body.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I'm not gonna walk into this little like women's only gym or this lung alarm gym or any of this stuff. It's like I'm gonna walk out and never work out again if that's the only option I have.
Yeah, I think I stepped foot in one Planet Fitness one time traveling, and I walked out within 15 minutes. I'm like, this is actually making me a worse person. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I felt like when I walked into Choose for the first time. It was the one in Thornton, and I was just like, I can't do this.
I call Choose high school childcare. Parents are like, $30 a month. Hell yeah. Go there for 4 hours after school and come home when you're tired and eating dinner.
That's hilarious.
That's literally what that place is turning into.
That's wild. Yeah, you're going to have similar thoughts toward things. But I mean, so I guess what I was saying is I'm always going to build this thing. I've been growing it a little bit, but I'm never not going to have the membership. It's like what you guys have put together there. It's like it gives me so much just being inside of it. It's like it makes me feel like I'm back in my glory days in college. Yeah. At some points, it makes me realize what I haven't achieved yet at other points. Like when you're around some of those guys are throwing 350 pounds over the head in a snatch. And I'm like, I got close to that once when I was 24 years old, and I was like, I guess I got to keep growing. I got to keep going. And so it's like, there's just something about it. It's
and also just like the sickest equipment on earth. Yeah, like the Arsenal stuff. It's just like
he's not joking. He's not. He's not doing that to sell you.
It's funny because actually when we opened the first building, I'll never forget. I was like, I looked at James. I was like, dude, could you imagine if we had all the Arsenal stuff at some point? Yeah. And like he didn't even hesitate. He goes, "We will one day." Yeah. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, "You're crazy." No, we're not. We're not. And then, dude, I'll never, because that kind of my main job is the equipment layout and setup at the gym. Like that's a big part of what I do. Yeah. And so, dude, I'll never forget like when we bought the building, and I was like, holy shit, my moment has come. Yeah. I get to literally do an Arsenal layout. How's that feel? Oh, dude. greatest shopping spree of my life. Like
take my money.
Borderline no budget,
Yeah.
and just like he's just like build the sickest place. I'm like, okay, that's my job right now.
Yeah.
And I just got to spend a lot of money.
That's cool.
And just line it up exactly how I've always dreamt about it being lined up. And so yeah, it was like surreal.
Yeah, I remember one time because I used to have a business partner when I first started. 4 years ago now is when I bought him out and all that shit happened. But either way, I remember sitting in my truck after I lost a job. So it was up in Wellington. I went in and I was presenting some roof estimate to somebody, and I lost because they're like, "You just don't seem as professional as the last guy."
Huh?
And I was like me? And
Yeah.
like, no, we just don't think your brand is professional as the other one.
Huh.
I was like, okay. I mean, fair enough. Can you show me anything?
Yeah.
I'm like, why? What's the difference? They hand me this packet, and it's like a printed folder that has their stuff written all over it, and they've got these leaflets of like portfolio projects that they've done, and all their insurance languages in there, and all this stuff. It just looked like it's like, this is night and day.
Yeah.
I get why you said no to me. I wish you would have believed in me rather than just their little packet here. But I was sitting in the car and I was like, I hope one day we make it to here. And he goes, we will.
Yeah.
And it's what's funny is that business to me right now is like an ant in comparison to where we are.
Yeah.
You know, fast forward like 8, 7, however many years ago it was at that point. It's like, man, life really changes, and it changes for the better when you just focus.
Yeah. You got to lock in, you know, like if you really wanted to have longevity, it's like you better wake up every day, like ready to pour into it, you know? And dude, honestly, like if you found what you're really supposed to be doing, that should be easy. Dude, there's no part of me that wakes up every day and goes, man, I wish I kept playing in my band and did that full time. Like, was that fun? Oh yeah. Like, dude, like it was the best. Like just doing that every night, it was so much fun.
I'm not gonna lie, every once in a while, like, man, I really wish I just built the gym.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I get it, dude. I totally get it.
Well, you know,
it's just a different thing.
There's something about the environment.
Yeah,
it's like you feel like you're working, but you're also hanging out with all your best friends all the time.
In gym clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. There's no fun.
I always get so mad at me because I won't let them wear like shorts when they're doing door knocking and stuff. I'm like, you're not going to wear shorts.
Correct.
You know why? Because you don't look like you could build this fucking roof.
No.
Like, they're not going to take you seriously in board shorts and flip-flops.
If somebody showed up to my house to build a roof in flip-flops and like basketball shorts, I'd be like, I'm good. That's like if I showed up to train someone who was wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Like it's just, there's a different vibe, you know?
But dude, I've seen some wild cats with jeans on, like just absolute athletic, phenomenal people. They just like they come out of nowhere, and
they make better jeans these days. Flex a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, that's totally real though. But yeah, like it's just beyond fortunate to like wake up and just I tell people all the time, like you'll know when you're in the right position when you don't fear Friday. You know, or you don't feel Monday and you don't get excited about Friday. Yeah. Like when that starts happening, like it's a surreal situation. Like I can't explain it. All my days are just great days. Yeah. Like it's the best thing ever. I never thought, I didn't think that was real. Yeah. Especially like in the industrial world of selling shit to contractors. Like I lived for Friday. Yeah. You know?
Everybody did.
Yeah.
Everybody that's not you.
Yeah. So once you get to that point, like, you know, you're right where you're supposed to be.
That's solid guidance.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what we try to get to in this podcast is like, what are some tips or things that you can do in your personal life to grow every day better? So
it's also like, it's like, don't like, so many people are like, oh, I'm turning 35, can't switch professions. I'm like, I didn't build a pursuit until I was 34. Yeah. So it's like, it's never too late.
I don't think Colonel Sanders built AFC until he's like 65.
Look at him.
Or something.
Yeah, that portrait of him is the day he built it. You know?
Right? Yeah, so it's never too late. I told my brother that the other day because he works in oil. He's worked in oil for a long time. And they just got bought out by Chevron. And Chevron is now like, you know, the corporatist of corporate companies of all time. Yeah. He like the things that he was getting like accolades for, and the reason he was a full, like almost the state like territory manager and production side of drilling and stuff was because of his proactiveness and his leadership skills and all that. He's like, I keep getting slapped on the wrist every time I try to be proactive. I keep slapped on the wrist for all this stuff. Like, I guess you should do something different. He's like, I'm 42.
No, you can do it.
And I was like, bro, that's
you can
a fucking excuse.
Yeah, you can do it. I promise you can do it. Yeah. If you find something that you love and you're passionate about and you go hard on, like it's not too late. You can go. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 1,000%.
Well, that's solid guidance. So that's what I was going to ask for you. What are your tips or words of advice for the people who actively listen? They're just trying to grow themselves spiritually, physically, emotionally. or professionally?
Spiritually, God first.
Yeah.
You got to put him at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to always lead you down the right path. But yeah, I just don't settle, you know, like I settled for way too long working the other job. I should have been out trying to find what I was passionate about.
You're comfortable, right?
Yeah, I was very comfortable. I was very comfortable. And so, you got to find the thing that just like lights you on fire every day. You know, it's worth the wait, you know, and it's worth the waking up and just putting your time into it every single day, even on those down days. Yeah. Like where you're stressing about money and stressing about paying your team and all that, like that day is still worth it if like you really are passionate about it and love it. So,
and it'll all work out.
No, for sure.
It's usually it's a mental block before it's a real block.
Yeah.
So break through the barrier.
Yeah. Step back for a second, breathe. It always ends up working out somehow.
Also, give yourself some opportunities for catharsis. I think is useful because Hannah does that for me really often.
Good.
Because I'll get all bent out of shape in my head, and these guys don't know it, but I'll go home and she's just like, okay, something's wrong, and she's like, well, just think about this problem.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted to have problems like this 4 years ago. So just think about it.
I'm the Hannah of my relationship. My wife like will just like go crazy on stuff, and I'm like, we're stressing about shit. We don't even know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, let's dial it back, gather ourselves, and save the stress for the day that actually happens.
Sure.
So
well. New level, new devil. There's always going to be new problems. They're all going to show up in different fashion.
Never ends.
I want the problems of the high tier.
Yeah.
Because that means I'm at the high tier.
Yeah, done 1,000%. We recognized that very quickly when we built a facility at that level.
Yeah.
You know, like, and Samson called it, and he's like, the bigger you get, the more problems start to follow you. And sure enough, we're just.
Yeah, but by now you're the master of problem solving. So
we're getting there. Yeah. I think we got it pretty damn close figured out.
I think you do.
So.
Sing your high praises.
Thanks,
before we got to hang out and talk too much and stuff. It's like I told everybody, you got to go to Pursuit.
That's awesome. Appreciate that, dude.
I was like, especially the guys that I'm like ex-athletes or collegiate guys or whatever. I'm like, if you can get to Windsor, go to Pursuit.
That's exactly where they want to be.
Yeah.
So
100%. So, cool. You got anything else you want to throw in here? All right. So, well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now that I know that you're a social butterfly, I'll come and chat your ear off a little bit.
I'm always there for it.
I'm always like I said, I'm like Samson. My head's down. I'm just gonna get in, get out, whatever. But I do need a clan every once in a while.
I'm always willing to shoot the shit. I love it.
Well, thanks again for coming in. And we've obviously promoted you the whole time. But seriously, anybody who's watching who's made it an hour and 15 minutes into this conversation. Lachlan's irritated. He's like, the editing is going to suck. But if you've made it this far or you heard any of it, do go to Pursuit. It's amazing. You will. It's the best. It's the best gym I've ever walked into in my life, and I've been in a lot of gyms. So but that's it for this episode of In the Lion's Den. If you have any questions or thoughts, if you'd like Zach to come back and talk a little bit more, throw those questions, throw those suggestions in the comment sections below. Like and subscribe, engage in the content, and we're going to keep delivering as best the content as we can for you. Appreciate you. That's it. Thanks all. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Into the Lion's Den. We appreciate your time, and we hope that you've gathered enough ammunition to go out, fight the good fight, and become a better person every single day. Please like and subscribe, engage in our content, ask us some questions. We'd love to tailor fit the next episode to you.